The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Close your eyes and pull like a dog.
And a new Irish record for Phil Healy, 22.99.
Christy Cooney hands over the Sam Maguire Cup to Graham Canty, Cork All-Ireland champions for the 7th time ever.
Hello and welcome to the Star Sport podcast. My name is Dylan Mangan of the Southern Star and I'm joined by Star Sport editor Kieran McCarthy today. Before we get into things, I'd just like to give our listeners a gentle reminder to please rate, review and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and YouTube. The Star Sport podcast is brought to you in association with our friends at Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, where your bank really does matter. Choose credit union, choose local, choose community. Now, the Oscars might have got a lot of attention over the weekend in LA, but here at home in West Cork, a much more important award ceremony took place at the weekend, where we celebrated the 25th anniversary of the West Cork Sports Star Awards in the Celtic Ross Hotel. We're having an award special on today's show, and later on you'll hear from some of the big winners on what was a brilliant night all round. But first, we're going to look ahead to this weekend's big game in the Allianz Football League Division 2 as Cork travel away to play Louth this Sunday. Kieran, what's your prediction for this one?
I'm hoping and predicting a Cork win, Dylan. I was just bringing up the table there in front of me, looking at the Division 2 football table. So the state of play with 2 rounds of games to go, Cork sit third in the table. So Derry have a 100% record. They're on 10 points. Dublin are next up. They're on 8 points. And then you have both Cork and Louth on 6 points each. So Cork and Louth still have a chance to win promotion up to Division 1. Even though you would think that Derry and Dublin are the obvious favourites right now, Cork and Louth still have that chance mathematically, but even more than that. So we're looking at this weekend's game is a big one up in RD. So if Cork can get another win under their belt, it'll push them on to 8 points. And okay, they're looking for favours elsewhere to take points off the Dubs. But Cork are still in that promotion conversation, which is a good place to be, considering that Cork lost their opening game of the league way back in that early day in Páirc Uí Chaoimh when Meath came to town and took the points home. But this is going to be a tough game. Louth are on a good run themselves still, and they're after a couple of wins in a row. It's going to be another challenge for Cork to go up into RD to beat an informed Louth team. So it's going to be another challenge. But just like Cork went away to Clare in the last round and got a good win there on the road, I think this is just another step, another challenge for this Cork team. And interestingly, they've won their 2 away games so far in the league. They beat Kildare away when they bounced back from that loss to Meath, and then they had a good win against a Clare team who have been a bogey-ish team in Division 2 over the last couple of years for Cork. So their road trips are proving quite profitable, and it'll be a nice time to pick up another 2 points.
Do you think Louth, they're coming into the game, as you said, on the same points as Cork? So you'd imagine the conversations that they're having this week ahead of the game are probably kind of similar to the ones we're having. They're looking ahead as well and maybe hoping for promotion.
100%, and Louth are really looking forward to licking their lips at the proposition of Cork coming up, because, like I said, they're on a good run of form at the moment. So for them, as much as Cork are building and pushing forward, it's very much the same with Louth. So they'll be looking to keep a bit of momentum going before the Leinster Championship, because if you look at the record in Leinster over the last couple of years, it hasn't been great. But right now in Division 2, they sit above Meath. They sit above Kildare in the table. So you could say, as of now, they're the second best team in Leinster, just going on the basis of league form alone, because Dublin are obviously just a couple of points above them. And I think Dublin and Louth is coming up. Is that the last round of games for them? So that'll be a nice Leinster derby as well. So Louth will be looking forward to this, because Mickey Hart, he wants to test his team against Cork to see how far they've come, because look back at last June, Cork and Louth met in a first round All-Ireland qualifier in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. It wasn't a great game that day. It wasn't a game for the football purists. Cork came out on top thanks to couple of late goals from Brian Hurley and Colm O'Callaghan. But Louth, just they weren't great that day. But look at their form since then. So I think they want to show that there's more to their game than they showed against Cork last summer. So it's going to be interesting, but it's just going to be a challenge for Cork. It really is. Away from home against an informed Louth team who wants to keep building momentum as well. But these are just the tests that John Cleary and his team wants. In this Thursday's Inside Track column by Hawley O'Sullivan, he notes that the Cork team was training in Foda Island Resort last weekend for a mini training camp ahead of this weekend's game. So no doubt they were putting plans in place for how they can deal with Louth, how they can beat Louth, and how they can push forward for the rest of the year. So I'm looking forward to see what Cork can come up with, and hopefully we can see that consistency of performance that we've seen throughout the league. So the next challenge, but I expect Cork to get the job done.
And just a final one on this as well. Do you think John Cleary might be kind of ruining that Dublin game a little bit, considering Derry then went to beat Dublin? Maybe if Dublin had in the last round of games held on and beaten Derry there, things would be looking a little more healthily. But as you said, now it's kind of just depending on other people to do Cork a favour.
Like, we can't forget that Cork were within a bit of a crossbar in the 7th minute of injury time of beating Dublin. That's how close Brian Hurley came. Like, there was the Dublin goalkeeper got the tips of his fingers and just diverted it onto the woodwork. So Cork was so close to beating Dublin that day. And if Cork had beaten Dublin, I don't think anyone would have denied that Cork would have been full value for that win. So that was a good Cork performance that day. But the bottom line is they didn't win. They didn't get the result, and now they're playing catch up in this promotion conversation. But let's look at it from a different perspective. Cork aren't in the relegation conversation right now. Off the back of beating Clare that it's very, 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 very unlikely. I don't think they can be relegated. Considering that both Clare and Kildare are on 2 points apiece. They're 4 points behind Cork, and Cork have beaten them both. So on head to head, Cork have had the better of the two of them, and then Limerick are on 1 point at the bottom of the table, and they're going through their own trouble. So if that's a positive from this campaign so far, is that Cork have put those any relegation fears, they're not there now. And after that opening defeat to Meath, and considering that Cork were coming into playing Kildare and Dublin next, there was a genuine fear that Cork could have lost their first 3 games. Then all of a sudden you are into that relegation situation. But with 2 games to go, Cork are looking up instead of looking down, and that is progress itself. Because I keep thinking back to what John Cleary said after Cork lost to Dublin in the All-Ireland Senior Football quarter-final last summer. He said that Cork were a kind of a bottom to mid-table Division 2 team, and he wanted Cork to push up the table, to push up towards the top of Division 1, and then push up the top of Division 2 and ultimately win promotion up to Division 1. And where Cork are now with 2 games to go, they're looking up, they're trying to force their way into those top 2 spots and into that promotion conversation. Whether it happens or not this year, we'll just have to see what pans out over the next couple of weeks. But so far, it's been a season of progress for Cork, and hopefully we can see that continue on Sunday up in Ardee.
Yeah, that one throws in at 1 p.m, I believe. And moving on now to West Cork soccer. We now know, Kieran, 3 of the 4 Beamish Cup semi-finalists.
Yeah, last weekend, even though the weather gods, they weren't in great form, Dylan, last Sunday in West Cork was wet. And one of the games, well, probably the big game, Dunmanway Town against Drina Rangers, that quarter-final was postponed, and that's been played this weekend instead. And Drina Rangers have home advantage for that on Sunday. So that's a big one. They're 2 of the big teams in the Premier Division, and you would think whoever comes through that will be probably tipped and touted as the favourites for the Beamish Cup. But what we do know so far is 3 of the teams that are there. So in Thursday's Southern Star, we've a full match report, pictures and reaction from Togo Celtic's 2-0 win against Beara United. Robbie Lucy was the hero of the day for Togo. He scored 2 goals in the second half in a quick-fire 7-minute spell to inspire Togo to that 2-0 win. Bunrat United are another team through to the last 4. They beat Alta Celtic 1-0 with Conor Brosnan getting a 13th-minute goal, the only goal of that game, and that's enough for Bunratty. Put them through to the last 4, and they'll be dangerous. They'll be quite dangerous. They're going well in the Premier Division, so they'll fancy their chances of getting to the Cup final. And then another quarter-final last weekend saw Castletown Celtic beat Skibbereen 3-1. Even though Skibbereen got an early goal, John O'Donovan gave them a second-minute lead. Castletown didn't panic, and Jack O'Callaghan got a brace in that game, and Gerard O'Donovan netted a very late goal to round off a 3-1 win. So we know, Dylan, Castletown, Bunratty and Togar Celtic are 3 of the 4 semi-finalists. We'll find out the 4th semi-finalist this Sunday. And as far as I know, after Dunmanway Town and Drina Rangers this weekend, the semi-final draw will be made. So it's quite exciting. We're getting towards the business end of the Beamish Cup. So watch this space for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm sure those 3 semi-finalists will be watching the score updates of Drina Rangers versus Dunmanway Town very closely this weekend. Moving on now, and Kilbrittain teenager Nicola Tuthill suffered a tough injury last year at the European Throwing Cup in Portugal, but Kieran, she's come back with a bang this year.
100%, and this is a great comeback story. We covered this a lot in last year's Southern Stars. So Nicola Tuthill, the Kilbrittain teenager, a former West Cork youth sports star, because when she was just 16 years old, Dylan, she was crowned Irish Senior Women's Hammer Champion, which is an incredible success. But think back to March 13th, 2022, when Nicola was in action at the European Throwing Cup in Portugal, and she actually fell when she was in action that day, and she dislocated her elbow and suffered a fracture as well, which was quite a serious injury for a hammer thrower, and it kept her out of action for a significant amount of time. But she did get back to feature at the World Under-20 Championships in Cali, Colombia last August, where she got to the final and finished in the top 8, which was an incredible achievement. But back to last weekend, Nicola was on the Athletics Ireland team that went back to the European Throwing Cup. And almost a year to the day, 365 days to be exact, Nicola produced the goods and she won a silver medal, which is brilliant. She threw 64 meters, 44 centimeters to win that silver medal, and it's just 1 centimeter outside her PB that she set just last month at the Dunboyne Throws Festival, where she threw 64 meters and 45 centimeters. So a centimeter, that's how close she was to equaling her PB, and just another couple of centimeters outside setting a new PB. What it does show is great consistency for Nicola Tuthill. She hopes to get to the European Athletics Under-23 Championships in Finland in the summer. That's one of her targets. But it's just great to see that there's a big consistency to her throwing at the moment. And when she set that PB last month, it was a huge increase of over 2.5 meters of her previous PB. So she's getting better and better and better. And she's only 12 centimetres off the Irish Under-23 women's record. So I think you can take from that, Dylan, that Nicola Tuthill is a young sports person who's going places and fast.
Yeah, big things to come from Nicola Tuthill, I'm sure. We'll be back in a moment. We're just going to take a quick break, but we'll be back to chat about the West Cork Sports Star Awards.
The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Last Saturday at the Celtic Ross Hotel, over 200 people came to enjoy and celebrate the 25th anniversary of the West Cork Sports Star Awards. Kieran, it was a brilliant night. We celebrated and crowned overall winners, which we've announced on SouthernStar.ie and other platforms this week, which are Paula Donovan and Fintan McCarthy. But the night overall was just a brilliant night, and there were a lot of fitting tributes as well to the late great Paudie Palmer.
Exactly, yeah. It was a celebration of sport at the Celtic Ross Hotel West Cork Sports Star Awards, and it was a milestone in so many ways. It was the 25th anniversary of these awards, so it's incredible the longevity of these awards that kicked off in 1998, and we're here now 25 years later, and they're still going strong, and that's a testament to the sports people here in West Cork, because they are the reason that these awards are going from strength to strength, because West Cork sport it's a boom at the moment. Like, it really is a golden era of sport, and you could see that by the caliber of athletes that were in the room on Saturday night. So, like you mentioned, Dylan, Paul O'Donovan and Fintan McCarthy were crowned the 2022 West Cork Sports Stars of the Year. And in the history of these awards, they're the first ever back-to-back winners but it's so hard to look past their achievements. And that's why when the adjudicating panel got together at the end of last year, and it's important to note here that Paddy Palmer, the late Paddy, was a big part of the adjudicating for this year. That we were looking at, there was so many candidates and so many local sports people that were in this conversation. But with Paul and Fintan, in 2022, they won world and European gold again. So we have these local athletes from Affadown, Skibbereen Roars, who are achieving on the world stage. And it's just incredible for West Cork that you have local sports people at that level. So they won the overall award. We'd announced in the weeks coming up that Skibbereen Rugby Club ladies team were the team of the year. The Castlehaven ladies football team took home the Special Achievement Award. Millie Condon, the dual star from Ballinascarthy, who plays her club football with Clonakilty, picked up the Paddy Palmer Youth Award, because we've renamed the Youth Award in memory of Paddy. He was a great advocate for the youth and a great promoter of the youth here in the sports awards, but just in general across West Cork. And like you touched on too, Dylan, there was such lovely tributes paid to Paddy tonight, and that was so important to us all involved in the Sports Star Awards, because we all got to know Paddy so well over the years, and he was part of the awards family, and we're lucky enough to call him a friend as well. And his sudden death in earlier this year was so for so many people it was so difficult to wrap our heads around. So it was nice to be able to pay tribute to Paddy. And what was very fitting as well is his wife Colette and some family members were there on the night, so they could see in the room there was such love and warmth and appreciation for Paddy. And I think that's lovely for Paddy's family and his brothers who were there, just to see how much we all loved and appreciated the man that is Paddy. And I think I told a story on that night above, and even though I've known Paddy for years, like there was such that messing element to him, Dylan. Like you just couldn't get past it. And when I landed into the reception the last night, I met Bold Cumming chairperson Michael Brennan, and he was saying, "Jesus, it just won't be the same without Paddy. He was such crack." And he goes, "Remember that night, Kieran, that we were here and Paddy was telling you that I applied for the Leeds United job, and that I was going for interviews?" And I said, "Oh yeah." He goes, "Jesus," and he was telling me just to play along with it. And I was like, "What? Play along?" Because I was convinced that Michael Brennan had applied for the Leeds United job. And it was a story that I put to the back of my head saying, Jesus, I must follow that up, because that's a great local story. A local fella applying for a Leeds United job, and he got on the shortlist or whatever. But that was just Paddy being Paddy. And even just having the crack, just messing. And Michael played along with the joke that literally ran up to last Saturday night when I found out the truth. But that's just a brief insight into the charismatic Paddy and what a part of what he brought to these awards. But like you said, great celebration of sport. And to mention too that Gretta Cormican, the legendary Lyre road bowler, she won the Hall of Fame award on the night, and that was announced live at the night itself. So there was great excitement, and there's lovely symmetry to that, because Gretta was the first ever West Cork Sports Star of the Year back in 1998. So very fitting that we could induct her into the Hall of Fame. But enough from me, Dylan. I think I've said enough now. So we have a couple of interviews coming up here now, one after another. First, we're going to hear from Paul O'Donovan and Fintan McCarthy on winning the West Cork Sports Star of the Year award, what it means to them and their plans for the year. Then we're going to hear from Averyl Condell. She's a Skibbereen ladies rugby captain. They won the team of the year. They have a huge game coming up in Skibbereen this Sunday, an All-Ireland Women's Junior Cup quarterfinal against Westport, 1 o'clock. If you're anywhere around Skib on Sunday, please go to this game. Please support this team, because they're the only Cork representative in this All-Ireland competition. And after we hear from Averyl, we hear from Gretta Cormican, who was just about coming to terms with this shock of learning that she'd won the Hall of Fame award. But what a deserving winner. Talking now to the 2022 West Cork Sports Stars of the Year, Paul O'Donovan and Fintan McCarthy. Paul, talk to me how important it is to be recognised in your home patch with an award like this.
It's really, when you're out there doing all the training and the races and stuff, and a lot of the time you're kind of on autopilot, and I oftentimes forget what I'm doing it for at all. But then it's nights like this in West Cork with our family and friends, and the Celtic Ross Hotel and the Southern Star and C103. They put on a great knees up here, and it's really it reminds you of what it's all about, and I think do you know, they did a great job as well tonight honouring Paddy Palmer. I think he deserves a special mention. He was a big fan of these awards. We always enjoyed coming here to talk to Paddy at these awards, and ever since we were a young age, he took a great personal interest in us, and he does to all the sports people, and it's a real genuine interest that he takes in people, and he brings that into his commentary and whatever he's doing, and it's he's an inspiration and a hero to us all, and so I think it's fitting as well that they named the Youth Award after him as well, and I think there'll be many young people that will win that Youth Award, will go on to big things in the future as well, so it's been a good occasion overall, I think, for that.
Good stuff, all really nice words on Paddy. And Fintan, just to touch on something Paul said there about being recognised here at home in West Cork, you spent so much of your year away, like you're just back from Spain and in all the different regattas all around the world. But to be back home tonight to celebrate with your family and friends and be recognised as the best in the West, that must be quite special.
Yeah, it's great. You know, as you're saying, we don't get much time at home, so it's really nice like these that you look forward to and I think look back on really fondly as well. So it's just all part of that journey. It's really, really nice.
And Paul, just to touch on Brian Cody, our guest speaker, said about moving forward, that you can never settle for staying where you are. We're in the 2023 now, Olympic qualification year. So what's the plan for the year ahead? Like, you are the best lightweight double in the world, Olympic, World, European champions. You've won it all. So what's the incentive this year? What's driving both of you?
I think for me the main goal is to finish my school exams, so they're coming up in a few weeks, and the pressure's really on for that. And I'm not the smartest, so I have to really work hard, and I think I'll be able to do that, and then I can kind of focus a bit more then back on the rowing stuff for the summer. But like Fintan's been doing the past few years, he's been taking up the slack, putting in the long miles throughout the winter to make up for my lack of training. But I think there is some good competition for the seats in the boat this year. So I really will have to get my act together once I finish the exams. I don't think I'll be in the boat at all. So I think first thing, finish the exams and then get into the boat, and then we can think about World Championships and whatever else then after that.
How close are we to call you Dr. O'Donovan?
Don't be calling me that. That'll never happen.
Just like you said there, like it's a big year ahead, Fintan, and you just stellar year 2022 with your Irish rowing titles as well. When you set out at the start of a new year, have you targets and this list of goals that you want to achieve?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's the same for everyone really, and I guess for us this year, you know, qualifying would be the big one. So it's kind of just about ticking off the little goals on the way to that at this point. So. Yeah, I guess that answers your question.
Because even though, like Fintan, you are, like I said, world champions, Olympic, European champions, you still have to qualify for the Paris Olympics. So, for our listeners, talk us through what you have to do to get through to the Games in Paris in 2024.
So, we'll have to come top 7 at the World Championships this year, and that qualifies 2 seats in the Ironman double for the Olympics next year, and we'll have to secure them again next year.
And Paul, that's quite important. You secure the seats, you don't secure the rowers. So even if the Irish lightweight double qualifies for next year's Olympics, your place isn't guaranteed, even though you are the best in the world. Like you said, there's pressure on, like there's other fellas trying to hop into that boat.
There is, but our seats aren't even guaranteed this year. Yeah, so, the pressure's always on, it seems, but you know that's what it is. And I think every year we just try and be as good as we can anyway. I'm sure if that's good enough to make the boat, then I think we'd be happy enough with that, and then we'll try and do the best we can then at each regatta we do. So, yeah, it should be okay.
And how does that pressure and expectations sit with you, Paul? Because, like I said, you are the best. You've achieved what no other Irish lightweight double has done before, and there is that expectation on you. Then, like when you go into regatta, it's like the public expects, well, these two boys are going to win gold, you know. So can you feel that expectation and pressure?
I don't think so. No, I wouldn't think about it at all, really. Like, you just have to take each race as it comes and try your best at it. And there's no point worrying about what other people think you're going to do. You just have to go out there and try hard.
and you're training for this year. Looking at Instagram last night, Fintan put up.
I never put it up now.
Fintan put up a video. I think he was deadlifting was it 170 and stuff. So it was quite impressive, So
not very impressive compared to Paul now. He's pushing massive numbers in the gym.
So Paul's even a different level above again, is he?
As always, yeah.
But we're at that stage of the year. We're in March now. So what's your training schedule like with the races to come in the summer and the World Championships later in the year? Does it build up, or does the heavy work go in now, or what's training looking like?
Yeah, I think it's pretty hectic kind of year round. We might change up what we're doing in training coming into racing just to be more specific around like kind of race pace stuff, and maybe in the winter it's a bit longer and building the endurance. But yeah, it's always fun.
Finally, so Paul, you've won the World Rowing Crew of the Year, you've won the RT Sports Team of the Year, but you're back-to-back West Cork Sports Star of the Years. Tell me which is the most important, and remember where you are.
I don't think anyone's ever won back-to-back before. This is another first. Is it? Fair play to us now. Stringing 2 good years together. But I think the big challenge now will be the 3 in a row.
Never been done? That's your target so for 2023?
The big target, the only thing that matters to us for 2023 is to get the 3 in a row here in West Cork.
Brilliant. Lads, congratulations on another successful year, another West Cork Sports Star of the Year award, and best of luck for the season ahead.
Cheers. Thanks, Kieran.
Averyl Condell, congratulations. You are here representing Skibbereen Women's Rugby Club because you are the winners of the overall Team of the Year award at the West Cork Sports Star Awards here in the Celtic Ross Hotel tonight. A fantastic accolade, but a deserved accolade for you and for all the people behind the scenes and on the pitch that have made this a reality. When you heard that you'd won the award, what was the reaction within the club?
Do you know, it was a real cliche thing because we were just so happy to be nominated, given the talent in West Cork. So when we heard we won, we were like, are you sure? We're like, are we just invited, to the event? But no, it's been amazing. And as you say, like across the disciplines, and I suppose as women in sport and outside of the rugby bubble, for this to achieve something like this, it's phenomenal, really. It's something that we wouldn't have expected at all.
Just on that, Skibbereen are an example of one West Cork club that are absolutely thriving with the number of underage girls taking up rugby and also the number of adult women coming back to rugby. You've seen it firsthand, you've laid the foundation. It didn't happen overnight, but it's getting better and better each year. It
is. I coach the mini girls on a Saturday morning. And you can see the interest is there. I suppose it really does come back to, if you're seeing it, you want to emulate it. And the club is so supportive of that. They've put the steps in place to achieve that. As you say with the women, I suppose there's no coming back. For us, it's women are starting, like I myself started rugby at 32, and we did a Give It a Try event there at the start of the season, picked up 6 new girls who've played all season with us and have, we wouldn't have been able to sometimes field a full team if those girls hadn't come on board, or women. But it really is, and as you say, it really is all dependent on that underage structure. You want to be able to feed new talent every year if we can. And
another thing you're doing is you're raising the awareness of women in sport for younger girls and younger generations who are watching you play at that level. And it's great to see as well this year yet again a general balance between men and women who've won all the awards over the past 12 months. And you're rubbing shoulders with some pretty serious, like Darragh McElhenney Athletics, the Roars, just to name but a few, the Camogie players. I mean, it just shows you where Skibbereen Rugby now is in the local area. And these are local awards, but these are very important awards because of that.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's very rare that you just fall upon a team that just has a core group that is just so talented, and that's what we have. Those girls, I actually can't tell you how proud I am, and they're so young and they're only just starting in their rugby careers. And I just think, to be here today and see the caliber of athlete that's there, and for me especially as their captain, looking at them, knowing what they have ahead of them, they're not out of place. They deserve to be there just as much as you say, as the Olympians. But they're starting, they're at the beginning. There will definitely be an Irish shirt on one of these girls in the years to come.
I have absolutely no doubt about it. If you're involved in Skibbereen or involved in it. It's a great night for you, for Skibbereen Rugby, for women in rugby, not just in Skibbereen, but in West Cork and in Cork itself. But there's a big date coming up on Sunday, the 19th, because Skibbereen are taking on Westport. Why is this such a big game, and why do you want people to come out and watch?
So this is huge because it's the All-Ireland Junior Cup, and it's the first one. And there's only 2 teams in Munster, but we're the only Cork team. There's ourselves and UL Bows representing the Munster province. But for Westport, they're a huge team now. The thing with this, it's only junior players, so no AIL players can play down. So it really is a chance for us to put ourselves against some of the best teams in our division, and push the girls. It's something that we need the support. It's something like this. Sometimes it's the support you get that carries you over. And we're an inexperienced team. We've maybe 2 full seasons. This is our second full season because of COVID. Westport are a powerhouse in Irish rugby. So for us, we really do need that support to come out behind us and just give us that little buoy, to push us over the line, yeah.
Well, I've absolutely no doubt Skibbereen and West Cork will come out and support you on Sunday the 19th in the All-Ireland Junior Cup against Westport. But tonight, congratulations, Averyl Condell. Congratulations to Skibbereen Rugby, and enjoy the night.
Thank you so much. Thanks a million. We will.
Okay, Gretta Cormican, congratulations first of all. A Hall of Fame award for you on the 25th anniversary of your first award as West Cork Sports Star Awards. You were clearly surprised, but it's a lovely accolade.
I was absolutely blown away. I certainly didn't expect it. But as he went on and I heard that she has 4 brothers and the only girl in the family, I knew then. My legs they went like jelly, honest to God they did. But I just so delighted to get it, like. Yes. When you're coming to the end of your career and you get awards like this, it means so much.
I think it was poignant as well tonight that Paddy Palmer is no longer with us. I know how much you respected him, how much he respected you, even though he wasn't there. But even tonight, considering the athletes in the room, considering the rowers in the room, considering all the winners over last year, to get the Hall of Fame is a reflection of your work over the last 25 years for bowling in West Cork and beyond. And for that, everyone in the room stood up and was thankful for it. And that was an even lovelier moment.
Yes, it was absolutely lovely to get a standing ovation, especially after Paddy had got one before me. Paddy was such a part of these awards, and I would have loved him to be here tonight. I really would, but he's not with us, and sympathies to his family. But again, I won't sleep tonight. I know that because, it would have been nice to have got a bit of warning and I could have said something more constructive or something better. But look, I said what I said and I meant what I said, and that's it. I
think you spoke very well considering the shock you were in at the time, the fact you're standing next to Brian Cody. This is also a reflection of the rise of bowling, not just this year, but over all the years that you've been involved, both bowling yourself and on the admin side and looking after it. It is on the rise in West Cork for the younger age groups and for the older age groups as well.
It is after coming on there even since COVID, because women in sport have brought it along, and we have our days now for all the women of the county, and we're introducing new girls, smallies, even older women are taking it up now again, that they've kind of come to the end of their career at another sport. So it's fantastic, and hopefully that we can continue over the next 2, 3, 5 years to build it even bigger and further.
Is that what gives you the greatest satisfaction, seeing the younger versions? I know it's nice to see the older people coming back and people who might never have tried it. Averyl Condell tonight, Skibbereen, that won the team award.
Yeah.
She didn't start playing rugby till she was 32. There's no reason women can't pick up a bowl no matter what age they are and get involved.
No, but it's nice to see them all taking part, but I love to see the kids. I love to see the kids. It don't matter what sport they're at, be it soccer, football, hurling, whatever. I love to see them come along, mature, develop their own skills or whatever. It's just lovely to see.
Is there a pathway for a young girl that's interested in it to start, to get used to the rudimentaries of road bowling, and then to progress on? You see Hannah Sexton tonight and what she's achieved. I mean, there's provincial titles, there's All-Ireland titles, and then there's European and world as well. Absolutely.
See, we want to try and get rid of the myth of her mum bowled and her dad bowled, so she should bowl. We're trying to get rid of that. We're trying to introduce new blood totally, that their parents never bowled before, their brothers or sisters or whatever. So that's what we're working on.
You've won a lot in your career, and there's still some more things possibly to win. Where does this rank?
Tonight ranks well up there now, well up there in fairness. I suppose when I won in 98, just to remind you, I won a world title in Armagh, and that swung it on the night for me, we think, back then anyway. But this, on top of that world title, is something very special to me.
Lovely for your family, for your extended family. I'm sure this is going to be celebrated in the days to come.
Well, the WhatsApp was going and I could feel it on my watch, and it hasn't stopped. So I'm sure there are a lot of congratulatory messages in it.
Before I let you go, a lot of people, even as soon as you wanted, were quick to congratulate Hannah Sexton and all her family as well. You can see what you mean to them, not just the award, but what you've done for road bowling in West Cork. Without you, it would not be nowhere near as popular. It would not be taking up 2 pages of the Southern Star every week as it does, because it's now at its most popular, I would say.
I wouldn't say it is all down to me now, in fairness. There's good people, we have a good organisation, we have good chairman, secretary, treasurer, and all others down the line. And as you know, our sport is a voluntary sport. You know, it's not easy to be going out there Sunday after Sunday, marking scores, reffing scores. It is raining down here, the wind is blowing. But it's not all down to me. I'm only one person in the cog.
Well said, and congratulations once again on your Hall of Fame award.
Thank you very much.
The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Welcome back to the Star Sport podcast, and now it's time for everybody's favourite part of the week, where we look forward to what's in this week's sports section coming out on Thursday. Kieran, what can readers look forward to?
So we have a big West Cork Sports Star Award special, just in keeping in the weekend that it was. So pages of pictures, interviews and so on. So if you were at the West Cork Sports Star Awards, pick up this Thursday's Southern Star to recap a magical night. If you weren't at the West Cork Sports Star Awards, pick up this week's Thursday Southern Star just to see what it's all about, and just to see why this night is the Oscars of West Cork and why it's such a special night to be a part of, whether you're a monthly award winner or just a guest, because like Dylan said earlier, there was well over 200 people in the room, and it was just such a celebration of West Cork sport. So we're going to capture that in this Thursday's Southern Star. As well as that, our feature County League report this week is O'Donovan Ross's win against Newcestown in Division 2 of the County Football League. So that's worth checking out. We also have a Joe McCarthy on Sunday afternoon was at Toker Celtic's Beamish Cup quarter-final win against Bear United. So report and reaction from that. Cork Hurlers had another win last weekend, beat Wexford. So that's there too. The Hammies Hurlers are in All-Ireland Senior B Colleges hurling final action this weekend. So I was chatting to their manager, Aidan O'Donoghue. Looking forward to a huge game for the Hammies. So the best to look to them. It'd be great to see an All-Ireland coming back to West Cork this early in the year. Also a match report from the opening round of the Carbery Beara Junior Football Leagues. Ballinascarty got the better of Kilmacabea. Killian Cullinan was the hero. He got 1-4 for Ball. So that's in there. I'm chatting to Carbery football manager Tim Buckley about their challenge game against the Cork under 25 development team in Dunmanway on Monday night at 7:30, and that's something for fans to get along to. Have to push to. We have a 2-page special on the West Cork Rally that's going to take over this weekend. So Martin Walsh is doing what he does best, and it's a great spread on West Cork motorsport. So he's looking through the who's involved, the local interest. We've a local man there, Aidan Hennessy, is going to drive in his first West Cork Rally on this weekend, and also keep with that motorsport team. Keith Cronin had his BRC 2023 first outing last weekend, and he finished second over in Cumbria. So we have reaction to that. There's loads in there, absolutely loads, including Closter Public Bantry won the Munster Schools Wheelchair Championship final last Thursday in Neptune Stadium. So a report on that, and there's much more as well. So a lot to sink your teeth into Thursday.
Packed as always. All that will be available in shops, as Kieran said, across West Cork from Thursday morning. There's also a special Mother's Day feature, so for any listeners who, like me, are undoubtedly unorganised, that'll be something to pick up, and there's some great ideas on how to spoil your mum this Sunday in there as well. As always, if you're further afield or you can't make it to the shops, you can subscribe to the Southern Star e-paper and get the Southern Star on your laptop, tablet or phone. Just go to subscribe.southernstar.ie, enter your details, and you get an exact replica of the newspaper for less than €2 per week. So as Kieran said there, with all the sports stuff in this week, that is an absolute bargain. And as always, thanks for listening to the Star Sport podcast, and thanks again to our sponsors at Access Credit Union. If you've enjoyed this, please remember to rate, review and subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify and YouTube. And thanks for listening.